Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's 4:30 UK time. That's about half past 11, I think, where I am, still in Tampa, Florida. Uh, Folks, we're looking at the US market. It's been running now for a couple of hours, and it gapped up at the open, and we're up 21 points on the day. I get the feeling that everybody's waiting on this CPI number tomorrow morning, which will be pivotal for markets. So if we have a look very quickly, and then we'll get on to the topic of the essay, that's the SPX today. That's a 15-minute chart, and I haven't done anything at all. I think I'll leave it well alone today. I lost a little bit of money in this mess yesterday, so I think let me get the CPI number out of the way. The main topic of the video, this was sent in by one of our subscribers. Are UK builders a buy? In fact, are building stocks even in the US a buy? Technically, LEN and Lenner in the US looks quite strong. But let me go now to the UK market. And as you can see, that's the UK market. That'll be the close after, I suppose, Tuesday the 10th. As you can see, all the measures of the trend are up in VectorVest, but the momentum of the short-term trend has taken its foot off the petrol, and VectorVest adds caution when buying stocks at this time. So a good period, lots and lots of green lights, everything running. So let's have a look at UK building stocks. They've had a torrid time over the last 12 months as interest rates have risen, and the rumours of inflation. Mortgages being refinanced at much higher rates have been all over the media, and along with heating costs, have hurt an awful lot of people. So let's have a look at the main contenders. And if I go to my viewers tab, I've got them. I built a watch list of these. I'm looking at Barrett, Bellway, Redrow, Vistry, Gleason, Berkeley, Taylor Wimpey, and Persimmons. And I noticed that there is a volume spike on Gleason, which I need to get sorted out. So again, if first thing we do, we build a watch list, is always resort the darn thing by RT and bring the best ones to the top and the weakest ones to the bottom. We can see immediately that in terms of the trend, Berkeley is at the top, and Persimmons is at the bottom. Now, in terms of relative value, if I resort by relative value, which is a measure of the share price against a AAA rated corporate bond, we can see that Bellway comes to the top of the pile, Gleason comes second, and Barrett comes third. And as you can see across here, we've got growth rates of 16 for Bellway, earnings growth rates, that is, Gleason 18, Barrett 14, and Redrow 11. And you can see Persimmons forecast to grow earnings at -5% next year. So I've charted these, folks, and fundamentally, I would like to be looking at these three top stocks: Barrett, Bellway, Redrow, and maybe Gleason. Okay, Barrett, the relative safety looks good, reasonably good. Bellway looks reasonably good. Redrow looks reasonably good. So let's have a look at the chart. And the charts don't make that pleasant of a read. So I've started off the way I always start, with a weekly chart. It's a weekly chart since COVID. There's the COVID sell-off, folks. And to save time, I've put on some, I think, reasonably placed trend lines. They're my trend lines. I can put them where I want. My good friend Martin Pring, who's written a big brute of a book called Technical Analysis Explained, plus many other things, tells me that in 40 years worth of searching, he hasn't found anything more predictive than a trend line. So there's Barrett. My word, it was good to your humble correspondent way back in 12, 13, and 14. But as you can see, it ran up here, went to a VectorVest sell and broke the trend line and has fallen out of bed as rates have gone up during the course of 2022. And that's why stop losses are so darned important, so you don't take a knock like that, and there have been many worse. So it took out the COVID low and then very quickly reversed, and it reversed on reasonable volume. But the thing that's littering all of these stocks is that this last little pop-up, folks, and pretty much every one of them I'm going to go through, hasn't happened on decent volume at all. It's happened on falling volume. That's not a good sign. Nevertheless, this is broken above that top, and that could be argued as the first rising bottom. We've certainly broken the trend line, which is good. I think you would agree. Buying the thing at 423 is better than buying it at 7. But I think myself that we'll probably pull back. I think the worst is probably over. Well, famous last words. But I think that we'll come back a little bit here. I just don't like the way that's going up on virtually no volume at all. Seeing exactly the same thing on Bellway. This trend line has kissed, and that's always a good sign. That's people are watching that. That's smart money. Remember, smart money are not smart because they know what's going to happen next. They're smart because they're really, really disciplined and they get in at the right place. Again, COVID low was taken out and it very smartly reversed on really, really good volume. So an awful lot of people buying into this low on reasonable volume here. But look at the volume on that big up bar, hardly anything. So that looks that is positive. This is Redrow, folks, and again, I'm taking a bit of poetic license probably in drawing this channel, but nevertheless, I think that channel's in place. The one thing we do notice is Redrow actually didn't get down to the COVID low, so that's quite strong. It's broken the trend line. It's making a rising bottom again. As you can see, virtually no volume coming into the darn thing here whatsoever. So I would expect that it's going to pull back a little bit. Vistry still hasn't broken that pretty obvious trend line. Although volume situation may be looking a little bit better. Gleason, that's that volume spike that I need to check out today. I'll make sure that that's correct. Again, that's a fairly obvious trend line. It's taken out the COVID low by a mile, and that's not surprising, folks. When things get bad, all the relatively small investors that populate a small market cap stock, well, they pretty much run for the touch line. So there's not a bid in sight. This is Berkeley again. Hasn't taken out the COVID low. That channel pretty decent trading channel, and has significantly broken this trend line. That's a good sign. But you know, that big bar up didn't happen on volume that I would have liked. Again, Taylor Wimpey broken a pretty obvious trend line, took out the low, very sharply reversed. And Persimmons, hard to tell whether the trend line is broken or not. Looks to me as if the trend lines, in fact, acted as resistance. That looks to be the weakest of the bunch. As you can see in this period, volume falling significantly. So in the weekly chart, we're reasonably positive in quite a few of them, but my worry is that this last pop-up has happened on very, very low volume indeed. So let's go to a daily chart now. So I've got the this over, let's make it over, there's a year, maybe a bit more. Keeps the trend lines. That's a daily chart. I'm going to put on my 21, 55, and 89 template. So just I hope I am. There we go. It's there already. if I now tick, that's the daily chart. The trend lines are from the weekly chart. I just want to tick 21, 55, and 89. I'm going to take off the volume. We've already made some conclusions on volume. And we have on Barrett this bow tie formation of mine, where the 21 goes above the 55, goes above the 89, brought to my attention by Stephen on our Q&A on Monday afternoon. That's a very positive sign. As you can see, we've got a buy in place here. So again, don't like the way that went up. I'm repeating myself on low volume. This is Bellway. Again, we've got a bow tie here, and that's a good sign. Redrow, just given a bow tie, although it gave one there, it didn't come to anything, and we've got a buy in place. Just about in Vistry, although, as I say, it hasn't broken the trend line. And Gleason, no. Berkeley, yes, and broken the trend line strongly. And Taylor Wimpey, yes, and broken the trend line. And Persimmons, no, and hasn't broken the trend line. So we have a few bow tie setups. That bow tie setup is no setup, folks, is 100%, but the bow tie setup has got a very good history of predicting lows. Now, the other thing that's quite damning in all of these, of course, is earnings per share growth. And if we just stick that on and go down through them, we can see the one solid story here through all of these, in that earnings per share has fallen off the side of a cliff, fallen. And the classic VectorVest situation, folks, is we want to be buying into a stock that's going sideways, that's just given a bow tie maybe, when preceded by a ramp up in earnings per share, which hasn't been discounted into the market. So these are lower probability. This is a lower probability event, an event for those people that want to get in right at the bottom. And just remember that if this interest rate hiking cycle is far from being over, and we'll get a view of that tomorrow afternoon with the American inflation number, then these stocks can tank from here. Again, I don't like the way they've moved up on falling volume. I promise I won't say that again. Let's get rid of that now. And then let's go the final hog. Let's take off the 21, 55, and 89 and put on the near perfect indicator that was developed by Stan Heller and our very own Steve RT40 from the Oxford group. So if I, to do that, I just find the darn thing, NPI, near perfect indicator. Click on that fellow and it comes up. It keeps the trend line. That's where your humble correspondent managed to get the discipline to sell out of Persimmons, and I'm so glad I did that because it's fallen by 50%. You've got to do an awful lot of fancy work to get that 50% back again. First thing, let's start at the top. Let's start at the top, David. This is Barrett. And Barrett has given the 5 of the RT5 of the RT has broken up through the 40 of the RT. That's a buy signal. It's broken the trend line, and I think that's the setup that Steve RT40 spoke about, a trend line break that's preceded by the RT5 and 40 crossover. And if you actually followed that system, and it's a bloody good system, you would have bought in to Barrett just about there. Now, as well as that, we can see that the 5 the two moving averages here are 5 of the stop and 40 of the stop. That's that red and bluish line. And where they cross down, that little bit in between is shaded red. And when they cross up, the little bit in between is shaded blue. And you can see the blue bit. So what we've got here is we've got an RT40 signal, a crossover signal, and we've got the two moving averages saying yes, and we've got the breakout from the trend line. And on Barrett, the fundamentals on VectorVest look the best of the bunch, I think. So certainly for aggressive investors, you could, in fact, buy into that. It's been on a buy signal since just here. I think Dr. Toledo would say that what's the fuss all about? Why don't we just take his buy signals? And he's right. The one thing that I do like about this, folks, is that there is a little bit of divergence on Barrett that you don't see on anything else in that, on many of the others. The price here is making a falling bottom, but this is flat. And that's bullish normal divergence. And that adds significantly to the quality of that signal. So it's a bottom feeding opportunity. Without a doubt, buying at 423 is better than buying at 7. There's a reasonable dividend coming along. So for the brave, that's certainly a signal. Again here, we've got, unfortunately, I don't think we've got any divergence here at all on this one, because that seems to be falling and that's falling. So not as strong a signal. I like the way it's, in fact, kissed the trend line here. The two moving averages have certainly crossed now, and there's an RT40 above the RT5 above the 40 signal just there. It's broken the trend line, so it's on a VectorVest buy signal, so that's also a speculative bottom feeding decision. As I say, the classic VectorVest signal would be in an environment where EPS is rising. And as I've told everybody so many times, that I think that EPS rising from the bottom left to the top right of certainly the yearly chart for short-term trades is an incredible edge in markets. We haven't got that in this environment. So a riskier in terms of hit rate situation. Here we've got a little bit of blue, and we've broken the trend line, and we've got this. So red row would also be a buy on those rolls. So there's 3 of them. We haven't broken this trend line yet. We've got just a little bit of blue here. I would like to see it breaking that trend line. I really would. Gleason hasn't broken the trend line, and the moving averages is still red in there. So that's certainly a no-no. We've got blue here. In Berkeley, we've got the RT5 above the RT40, and we've got a trend line break. I think that is certainly a trading signal. And similarly on Taylor Wimpey, we've got blue in here. RT5 is above the RT40, and it's broken and kissed that trend line. So we have got some reasonable signals. And for Simmons, I don't think so. I think that needs to brace, not on a buy signal. The RT40, there's certainly no divergence here. That is falling, and that is falling. So there are better candidates for your money. So what I've tried to do, folks, in the video is to try, I've started with a weekly chart. I've made the point that the last move up on all of these shares has happened on pretty much lousy volume, and that's not good. I've made the point that earnings per share, forecast earnings per share is falling, and it hasn't been ramped up as yet. Although when it does ramp up, that will probably be too late for those people that like to get in right at the bottom. I think that there are some legitimate technical signals on the top 3, and I would favor Barrett, Bellway, and Redrow, and maybe Berkeley, although the RV on Berkeley is poor. So Barrett, Bellway and Redrow could be classed as aggressive trading opportunities in this environment. I hope that helped. Just remember that you're bottom fishing here, and that's always quite a dangerous environment. So you need to put a stop loss into place and get down on your knees in front of your God and say to yourself that I'm definitely going to get out if that stop loss should hit. However, longer term players, I think that there's probably that are happy to sit and pray. I think that there is probably very limited risk over a window of 2 to 3 years in Barrett, Bellway, and Redrow at these levels. Thanks very much. I hope that helped. It'd be great to get some comments on it. Bye-bye.